KSHP.com. The Dr. Annette Show, Saturday morning at 7 on KSHP, North Las Vegas, AM and FM, 829-6HP, North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, fellow buffoons? It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you. Hillary Clinton Hurricane Monday. Thank you. We'll get to that. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about the weather, not just in Vegas, but, of course, on the West Coast. My friend Brian Ping from KNX Radio in L.A. is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. Give us an update there. The bottom of the hour, Vivek Ramaswamy, who, by the way, might be appearing on this show later this week, made some interesting comments about Vladimir Putin with Jim Acosta over the weekend that maybe could hurt his candidacy. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on. There are actual sports books offshore where you can bet on Donald Trump's weight. Why? Well, when you get indicted in Georgia, they actually weigh you. Yeah, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about that, and if Chris Wynn will be making a wager on the over, the under on Donald Trump's weight. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the program as well. The Las Vegas Aces with a really, really, really embarrassing loss over the weekend. There's something wrong with this team. We're going to talk about it. You can't lose to the LA Sparks, especially when you're favored by 17 points. So we'll talk a little bit about that and mix a little politics with the Aces because the Aces are visiting the White House this week. I'm going to discuss with you all the professional teams that refused to go to the White House when Donald Trump was president. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Goalie Scott Gulbranson from Silver and Black Today, the podcast creator, talk a little Raiders football. If there was a preseason Super Bowl, the Raiders would probably be in it. They won week 2 of preseason. But more importantly, we're going to talk a little bit about Josh Jacobs. They have not re-signed him yet. We don't know if that's going to happen. And we'll get into week 2. Another solid performance by the Raiders. And so we definitely have a lot to talk about, a lot to get to. And Chris Wynn, of course, joining us as he does, the man, the myth, the legend, every Monday. C. Wynn, what's up, my friend? How's it going?
I'm doing good, Shap.
Good to see you. And, yeah, we were doing a little, it was very non-Southwest, very non-Las Vegas, very non-Southern Nevada weather this weekend, right? Dodging a little raindrop action. We got, some severe weather in the area that we had. That is something that hasn't taken place in decades. So a little bit different kind of approach to the weekend, without question, when you're talking about the outdoor situation.
Yeah, Hillary has weakened to a post-tropical cyclone, still threatening deadly flooding and powerful gusts across parts of the West, particularly in California. After hitting Southern California yesterday, the state's first, by the way, since 1997, Hillary has headed into Nevada, but I got to tell you, so far so good. I mean, it doesn't look too bad right now. People seem to freak out in Las Vegas, and I know that a state of emergency was declared here. There's always going to be certain spots in the valley that are going to flood. But I got to tell you right now, the sun's out in some spots. I mean, it actually looks pretty good here. It's not that windy. It's not raining. Now, that could change. But as of right now, Chris, you go outside, it's perfectly fine.
No, you mentioned, of course, people tend to freak out. Look, we've been here a long time here in Las Vegas. We are transplants here to this town. But it's always been kind of a running joke, right, is that, oh, yeah, anytime there's, like, rain hits the ground here in southern Nevada or in Las Vegas, people seem to either forget how to drive or they have some kind, they start to freak out a little bit. It's a kind of a strange kind of running joke, inside joke for those of us Las Vegans out there when we talk about this type of scenario presenting itself.
It is a little strange. God forbid we get a half an inch of rain and everybody freaks out, right? Everybody gets a little crazy. But anyway, I want to introduce my next guest.
Oh, so Numchuck, he's missing it, my friend. He's not picking up on what's going down here.
I got it.
Oh, you do?
I understand what the song is. I'm not an idiot. I do know.
Who sings the song?
Rock you like a hurricane?
Yes.
You're right.
Oh, I put him on the spot. We're showing Shapiro's youngness here, folks.
Or maybe
we're showing his youngness.
Or maybe to the contrary, how old you are.
That's true. Well, that's true.
I was going to say,
but Basham just left. Doug, if he's listening, he knows what this tune is. I bet. I guarantee.
Maybe.
I'll kick you in.
Maybe,
I won't hold you your feet to the fire.
Okay. I was
Scorpions.
Scorpions. Okay, I'm not a big Scorpions fan.
Yeah,
but it's a good song. Anyway, joining us right now because we do have some serious bad weather in California. We've had it for the last 24 to 48 hours. Things seem to be okay right now in Clark County, but I figured let's get my man on the line who I used to work with. Now works at for a while now at KNX Radio out there in LA. Brian Ping joining us right now on the line. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Did you know that was the Scorpions? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, of course. That's classic. Rock You Like a Hurricane.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not big on 80s music. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Anyway, Brian, thanks so much for joining us, my friend. How are things looking out there right now? Give us an update. Like what's going on out there in LA?
Pretty good from my vantage point. I'm in Long Beach right now, near the coast, and the sun just came out for the first time in a couple of days. For many of us, it was just a really good soaking, like you would get in the middle of winter. We ended up getting anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. They got more in the mountains. The desert, and of course, I would include you guys in that, but our deserts here, Palm Springs, places like that, really got hammered, and they're going to continue to deal with washouts for quite some time, maybe a couple of days. But some really incredible images from some of these mountain and desert areas, because they really receive the brunt of it when any kind of storm moves on through, because those clouds hit the mountains and then they just empty out.
This is really rare. I mean, you guys haven't seen something like this in decades. Are people pretty much doing what Gavin Newsom has asked them to do the last couple of days? If you don't have to leave your place, then don't stay home. I mean, are most people listening to that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I went into work the special coverage at the station yesterday and went home last night, and there's still some people out on the roadways. I guess, some people have shift work. They've got to do, I would include myself with that. So sometimes there's people who have to be somewhere, but we were talking with people before it got really bad in the afternoon. They were still out shopping, stocking up, doing things like that. We talked to a lot of people that had come from South Florida and places near the Gulf were like, this is nothing. It's a tropical storm, guys. What are you getting so worked up about? And in many places, basically, that's just what it was. There's not any major damage close to the city or the coast. And, there are a lot of transplants here in Southern California who come from those parts of the country where I wouldn't say it's not a big deal, but it's like, okay, it's not going to keep me from really living my life. So I think a lot of people heeded the message, and a lot of people did hunker down. And that's why the human toll was kept to a minimum from this.
I mean, obviously, these are two completely different circumstances, but you could tell me if you agree or disagree with this. I feel like after what took place in Maui and the lack of warning, I know this is completely different. I feel like there were even extra precautions maybe that were taken, not just in California, but in the state of Nevada as well. And do you feel like maybe that was a part of it? You just want to over-prepare people maybe a little bit, which is okay. I don't have a problem with that. But do you feel like that might be the case?
Well, definitely, because, it's been top of mind for a lot of people here, certainly. And it's just been a couple of weeks since that horrible tragedy happened in the islands. But the good thing about a hurricane tropical storm is you can see it coming. I mean, we had about a 2-3 day heads up knowing this thing was going to form. And, the forecast models worked so well, they told us that it was going to track right up the coast and hit us at a certain time, and that's basically what it did. So we had a lot of time to prepare, and people listened to the radio, watched TV, and went online and saw the information they needed. Much different than the kind of fire that they had in Lahaina, which,
right.
From all accounts, it seemed like they barely had any time to react.
Now, Brian, if you're just joining us, Brian Ping, KNX Radio out there in LA. Brian, obviously the homeless issues, not just in the state of California, but throughout the country, but a lot of homeless people, particularly downtown LA, South Central. How thankful are some of those people that and not all of them, I wish, but that some of those people are able to be in those motel rooms, and a good portion of those people have some shelter now. I would imagine that's a very good thing for a lot of these people that do not have homes of their own.
Yeah, there's been an initiative from our new mayor, Karen Bass, called Inside Safe to convert some of these old motel rooms into homeless shelter space. It's been more successful in some parts of the city than others. Skid Row, there's been a lot of resistance. Some people are just entrenched there. But other places where the encampments had just popped up over the last few months, a lot of people did take them up on that. And especially people who had set up camp by riverbeds. They would have conceivably been washed away or had to been rescued by emergency crews. Thankfully, we didn't have too much of that yesterday. So I think that we are seeing some results in these initiatives because it's the number one problem plaguing L.A. right now is the homeless issue.
Yeah.
And just to get people off the streets. But so far, in increments, I would say it is working to an extent.
Yeah, no question about that. And I think other states will certainly follow. Now that I got you on the line here, I just wanted to ask you, what are the thoughts? The entire state, there are obviously people that are going to be against Gavin Newsom, people that are for Gavin Newsom. What is your overall vibe? You work at one of the biggest news stations, not just in California, but in the country. What the overall thoughts, perspective on Gavin Newsom and the job he is doing in the state of California?
I will say this, ever since he survived that recall attempt, that was basically his last real test. I mean, he had gone through the roughness of COVID and the pandemic. Of course, there are plenty of people in this state who disagree with him on many things, if not everything. But after he survived that, the next year he was up for his regular cycle election, and he passed without a challenge at all. So
yeah.
He looks to position himself now towards more of that national stage, but it's pretty much smooth sailing for him from here on out for the rest of his term until 2026. And
yep.
He has become kind of that ambassador for the state and at least what he believes it stands for.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And he, it seems like he certainly has more people in the state of California that support him than do not. Brian Ping, always a pleasure. Let me know when you're back out here in Las Vegas, doing a fine job out there in LA at KNX, and look forward to having you on again soon, my friend. Hang in there out there in California. I think you guys will be just fine.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. That's Brian Ping. Used to work with him, actually, at a conservative station, a very conservative station, which I am so glad I'm not a part of anymore. But Brian's a good dude, and he's got a nice family. Just had a newborn last year, and congratulations to him. And he's got the pipes. He's got the pipes, Brian Ping. He's got that voice.
It's a radio thing, man. Those of us, and Shapiro, you're in the mix here.
Yes.
That's an important thing. Look, talking about Hurricane Hilary, turning into a tropical storm Hilary, talking about, what has transpired in the last 48 hours. No question that California, it is going to be looked at as a success story, right? Given that there's not a massive loss of life, right? And by the way, it wasn't just about the storm, right? When it came to Hilary, there's also a 5.1 earthquake that took place in California yesterday as well, too. So I think that's kudos to California for how it was handled, particularly obviously Southern California, for how it was handled, given that you have two events that take place like that can be potentially disastrous on a loss of life level that never really transpired.
And it just gets worse and worse for some of these people in Maui, right? I mean, they're still working to try to find bodies and the cleanup and all that stuff, and now they're having to deal with this tropical storm too. I mean, it's just worse. It just gets worse for them. It's just terrible. So, I mean, there's still over 1,000 people that are missing, which the governor has already said many of those people will probably never be found. I mean, you want to talk about the worst thing to a family member, assuming that your loved one is probably dead and you're not even going to be able to recover their body. It's just unimaginable, and my thoughts go out to them. But it seems like this storm, knock on wood, is not as bad as people thought it was. There are some Hillary Clinton jokes out there, though, Chris, on social media, since they called this storm
right?
Hillary, right? There are some right-wingers.
Wouldn't shock you. Yeah.
There are some right-wingers out there that are making some jokes. Speaking of jokes, why don't we make a few jokes at Donald Trump's expense? You mind doing that?
Here we go. It's a Monday. Let's let it roll.
All right, let's do it.
Let's let him fly.
So, as you know, Donald Trump will be booked in Georgia this week. Apparently, it appears as though he's going to turn himself in either Thursday or Friday. It's going to be one of those 2 days. On a side note, Jenna Ellis and some of the people that were also indicted in this case have been publicly on the record saying, including Rudy Giuliani, that Donald Trump is not paying for any of the legal fees of any of the people that were indicted. But he's a billionaire. No MAGA money going to people like Jenna Ellis. I feel so sorry for them, by the way. What did you think? Donald Trump was all of a sudden this great giving man, not selfish at all? I mean, you're morons. You're idiots. What did you expect? He's a horrible human being. He only cares about himself. God knows he probably doesn't even have a lot of money himself, but he calls himself a billionaire, yet he wants all you MAGA morons, because that's what you are at this point. You're a moron if you support this guy. He wants you to pay for his legal fees. And people like Jenna Ellis think that Donald Trump's going to pay for her legal fees. Is she that stupid? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, Donald Trump's going to be weighed. Why? In Georgia, that's what they do when you get indicted. It's not going to be private. It's not going to be with Trump's handlers setting the scale or rigging it, as Donald Trump would say. The scale will not be rigged. It's not rigged. It's not going to be a rigged weigh-in. And here's where it gets interesting, Chris, because odds makers are offering prop bets tied to Donald Trump's indictment. Yes, that's right. One bookmaker has set the over-under on Donald Trump's weight, where you can actually make wagers on his website, at 273.5 pounds, and it comes after he's accused Fox News of frequently using an unflattering photo of him. What do you make of this? And will we see any C-win action on the Donald Trump weight?
Well, there's definitely going to be action on the over from my standpoint, because look, I'm a Democrat and I'm not a Trump fan by any stretch of the imagination. But I do have to say, as someone who is not necessarily svelte, who is not somebody who's skinny, I was still surprised that Donald Trump, even at his height, which I believe is around 6'3", 6'4", that he was up there as far as the LBs were concerned. I was thinking, like, before I even saw the number that's been put at as the over-under, I was thinking he was around maybe 250-ish, maybe 240. I had no inclination whatsoever that Big Donnie was floating around 270-ish. I mean, that is, to me, that's rather large, my friend. I don't know. Look, I'm not sitting here and I'm not aware exactly of Donald Trump's health regimen. I don't know exactly how many, brunches that he hits there at Mar-a-Lago on a regular basis. Meanwhile, the guy's traveling all over the country because he's got indictments all over the place where he has to show up. But I was surprised, Brian Shapiro, that number is north of 270. I got to be honest.
I'm going to say that I believe Donald Trump is around 280 pounds.
Wow.
I'm going to go 280.
So you're definitely on the over.
I think Donald Trump's left breast alone is probably at least 80 pounds. Have you seen this guy swing a golf club? Have you seen what he could possibly look like without a shirt on? It's imaginable to me. And it's funny how all these MAGAs out there want to make fun of Joe Biden, and you want to make fun of his physique, and you want to talk about how frail Joe Biden is. When was the last time you saw Donald Trump getting any exercise other than that disgusting flabby golf swing of his? Have you seen Donald Trump on a bicycle? Have you seen him jogging? The guy is not on the front of Fitness Magazine. Joe Biden is in his early 80s, and he's in pretty damn good physical condition.
Donald Trump's like 3 years younger than Joe Biden, people.
So
3 years.
So let's handicap this. Donald Trump is, what, 6'3"? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I think 6'3", 6'4". I don't know exactly.
Somewhere
I guess
around
we'd probably
there.
look it up.
I think it's fair to say that he has a large stomach. He's flabby. He looks like an orange turd beached whale. I think that's fair to say. Unless you're a MAGA supporter, then you'll call him Superman. He's the one who looks frail. He's the one who looks like he is morbidly obese. Even according to his physical, when he was in the White House, they even had to use that term. He's obese. I don't know what his diet is, but I would imagine it's probably a lot of fast food and Coke.
Because that's what we see, right? That's exactly what we see. By the way, they list him at 6'3".
Okay, so I was right. And now when I say Coke, I'm not
talking.
Barron
Trump is 6'7".
I did not know
he's that tall.
He's not being indicted though. When I do mention Coke, I'm not talking about the Coke that Don Jr. Puts in his body. I'm talking about Coca-Cola. Just want to be clear on that with everybody. So yes, I think it is a fair bet to take the over on this, and I might actually create an account on this website just so I can place a wager, Chris.
Well, no, wait, time out. Those of you that know Brian Shapiro's or have an idea about Brian Shapiro's gambling forte, you're absolutely going to be betting on the under, given that you just told us that you said he's at 280. If you said he's 280, that you're absolutely
Kurt,
taking the over.
I'm wondering if there'll be in-game wagering, though, because I'm going to want to know if Donald Trump went number 2 in the morning. That's important. I'm also going to want to know what was the last meal that he had. I want to know if he's fasting. I want to know how many layers of makeup he's going to be putting on that morning. Like if I knew Like, I wish I was his butler that day because, don't you think that would be sort of inside information? I want to know. I want to know if he's bloated. I want to know if he relieved himself in many ways.
So you're going the angle of, boxing and MMA,
right?
You're making an assessment.
Hey, we're talking about money.
Basically, weigh-ins going on right here. By the way, checking the YouTube feed here, Richie Vegas chimes in. He says, "Super gut Trumpy."
That's kind of funny.
That is something that we see. Yeah. That is something that is clearly evident with the former president of the United States.
That is kind of funny. But anyway, he's scheduled to be indicted, or at least he's supposed to be indicted, Fulton County. Supposed to be indicted Thursday or Friday. The website, if you were wondering where to make this wager, the bookmaker site is an Antigua-based website called Bet Online. It's been around actually for quite a while, and they actually put up 273.5 as the total of Donald Trump's weight on Friday, and the guy who runs the website said over 74% of the bets that have come in right now are claiming over. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that the over's probably, they're going to have to adjust the line, I think. I think they're going to have to adjust the line. And now it's 77%. I just got an update. 77. So they're going to have to move the weight line, right? They're going to have to move it from 273.5 to 274, 274.5, right? You're going to have to move the line.
Somebody's got some inside information, I think, on this deal. Let
me ask you another.
This is why it's only on the Antigua website.
Let me ask you another question.
As far as betting,
and I'm being very serious here.
Okay.
Do you think there's any chance that Donald Trump is actually transgender and he's pregnant? Is there any possible chance of that?
Well, there's always a chance, I guess. I put a chance in quotes.
Yes. Is it possible that he's 8 months pregnant?
But I think it's. Well, you definitely can't do that because we all agree that males cannot get pregnant, right?
Well,
we all
do
agree on that.
Transgender man.
I mean, I know some
transgender men. Some of them can still get pregnant. I'm just throwing it out.
Oh
there.
yeah, well yeah, if they're born female, yeah.
Well, I'm just throwing that out there. It's a possibility. That's all.
Well, we know that we pretty much are assured, right, that Donald Trump was born male.
Well, we can ask Stormy Daniels about that.
We're assured by that.
We can ask Stormy Daniels about that. I don't think we'd ask Melania because I don't think they've been intimate for 20 years. That wouldn't be fair. Barron is how old now?
I think he's 16, right?
Okay,
17,
so
maybe?
They probably haven't been intimate for 16 or 17 years.
We don't just have to ask Melania. We can ask all three of his wives.
Ex-wives. Ex-wives.
Well,
one of them is dead.
Well, one of them did pass away, yes.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Very true. One of them is dead.
But I believe there's going to be a soon-to-be another ex-wife, too, by the way.
Oh, no question about that. It's just
that's just my speculation.
Really?
I could be wrong on that.
Chris, I don't know why you'd make a statement like that. I mean, Melania and Donald, they seem in love. Yeah. I mean, it seems like
in a pod, right? I mean, it's just a perfect union.
It seems like she's just by his side everywhere. Oh, wait. She hasn't been seen in public with him since he left office. Yes, that's right. Sorry, I forgot about that. All right, here's what we're going to do. By the way, if you have an opinion on the over-under on Donald Trump's weight, I will gladly take your phone call right now. I'm curious. Maybe we can analyze this further. Number to call, 702-221-7283, and the number to call. Who do you think weighs more, Mike McDonald or Donald Trump?
I think Donald Trump weighs more.
I would tend to agree.
McDonald's I think he's an ex-cop, right?
Right.
So he probably keeps himself in a little bit better shape. But I talk about your tag team wrestling partners, Brian Shapiro. How about? I'm not even talking about Mike McDonald. How about Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis? Little tag team wrestling action.
And they both
Chuck, you'd watch that on Monday Night Raw, wouldn't you?
And they both have to wear white boots.
Little Ronnie D and a little Donnie T.
Ronnie D.
And Donnie, that's my wrestling. How'd you like my wrestling announcement?
How'd you like to be married to that guy, Ron DeSantis?
Dude. I know we're probably not going to talk about it on the show, but I don't know if you saw the clip over the weekend with his wife Casey talking about her cancer treatment and Ron DeSantis just absolutely kind of it was like somebody was talking about making some popcorn before a movie. I mean, it was just hardly any interest.
If you ask Ron DeSantis, his cure for cancer would be gender ideology. That's probably.
It's just no. But I know we don't want to get into this, but Ron DeSantis just no personality, Brian. Right? Just zero ability to deal with human beings. I don't even know if he is a human being. He might be an alien. He might be. He
very well might be. We're going to get a little bit more into because I want to get Chris's thoughts on the upcoming debate, which is Wednesday night.
Yes.
I would imagine. Are you working Wednesday night? Are you going to be able to watch the debate live in real time?
Well, if I am working at my regular gig, which would be on the Las Vegas Strip, we're definitely going to have it on. We're going to definitely have it on the TVs. We're going to have it up there.
Yeah. Well,
we'll be watching this.
Very interested in that.
Yes.
Vivek hopefully will be joining us on the
Ramaswamy.
show. We are going to talk a little bit about Vivek coming up next. He made some very interesting comments to Jim Acosta when it comes to Vladimir Putin in Ukraine. You're not going to believe this. In my personal opinion, the statements he made about Vladimir Putin on national television could disqualify him from ever being the president. I'm going to tell you exactly what he said. We have the audio to play it. He's Chris Wynn. I'm Brian Shapiro. We'll take a quick break. Opening up the phone lines, too, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, 702-221-7283. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust, someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Sapphire Pool and Day Club, the world's only topless gentlemen's day club, introduces its 2023 pool season lineup with a bevy of beauties and social media celebrities throughout the summer who will all host alongside hundreds of Sapphire's topless poolside entertainers. Enjoy brunch in the sun with items like frittata-style omelets, stripping chicken, and French kiss toast before washing it down with signature summertime cocktails. 10 lines, beware. Go bear! Ladies are welcome to go topless within the day club for the ultimate party. Guests can purchase portable day bed packages, cabana packages, lounge chairs, and more. The best part though? Pushing the Limits will be broadcasting shows every other Friday throughout the pool season with a ton of surprise celebrity guests. Wow! Reserve your spot now. For more info, visit sapphirepoolLV.com or call 702-869-0003. That's 702-869-0003. See you at Sapphire.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Shopping is always easy with the Radio Shopping Show. Whether it's shopping during any one of our live shows right here on AM 1400 or listening live on the KSHP app, you can always call in at 702-221-7283 to pick up great deals with your favorite host. Or shop 24/7 at kshp.com. Go to kshp.com and select Shopper's Guide to browse hundreds of businesses featured on the show. Place your order online and we'll have it shipped right to your front door. With so many possibilities, it's hard not to shop.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. On a Monday, listen, I don't want to get people's hopes up, and I don't want to promise you something if I cannot deliver. However, there is a very, very small chance that Donald Trump could be joining us on the show tomorrow. Again, I don't want to make any promises or anything.
What a tease right there.
I won't know. I won't know until tomorrow.
You want to talk? You are getting people's hopes up, man.
Well, listen.
Come on now.
I'm just saying. I don't want to promise something if the man refuses. But I'm talking to his people. I'm going to try to make it happen, and there's a chance that Donald Trump and his scale will be joining us tomorrow on the show. So I'll let you know. I want to tell you guys about my favorite gaming bar in town. I know Chris agrees on this one. Of course, it's Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, and they have some phenomenal promos, especially if you're in the service industry. If you work at a bar, you go through $50, you get $50 in free slot play. I actually have $100 in slot play that I need to use there. I got to hit them up this week. Great atmosphere, great gaming bar. By the way, they have some new slot machines there, Chris. I don't know if you've seen them. They're state-of-the-art, man. They have some new machines there that are super cool. All your Caveman Keno, don't worry about it. I know you're salivating at the Caveman Keno. But it's there. Great food, great atmosphere.
I'm getting pumped up for some new bells and whistles over at Jackson's. Can't go wrong with that.
It's awesome. Jackson's Bar and Grill, Flamingo and Jones. Please check them out. I got to say, before we get into Vivek and the comments he made on CNN with Jim Acosta.
You're like a first-name basis.
Yeah, Vivek.
Before we get into Vivek.
Vivek. It's a fun first name to say. I like it.
Yeah.
Vivek.
Yes.
It flows well off the tongue. Anyway.
Is it because it makes you think of Vivica A. Fox?
If there's anybody that I thought of when I was thinking about Vivek A. Fox, Vivek would probably be the last person.
But I'm saying his name.
No.
Vivek A. Fox.
No, because Vivica is just smart, sexy, on the right side of history, talented actress, pretty much the opposite of Vivek when it comes to a lot of different things. Anyway, but
Numchuck was not thinking you were going to elaborate in that fashion right there regarding this.
Anyway,
that was pretty stout right there.
Before we get to Vivek A. Fox,
right to it.
Before we get to Vivek, I want to say, like last night, I was putting the show together.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I need some entertainment on a Sunday night. So I say to myself, I'm going to go to Chris Wynn's house because he's always getting into arguments with his roommate, and they're
Mark Nilsson. We know him. He's been on the show before.
Screaming at his roommate about, again, the same topics you guys yell about all.
I try to catch myself, Brian. I try to stop. Try to stop, take a breath, try to catch myself, say, look, I don't want to get into this. All right.
I mean,
I don't want to go down this road, but it ends up happening all the time.
It got personal.
It's just me. I just
And
can't let it go. I can't just stop.
There are moments where I interject for a couple seconds and then I just listen and sometimes video the arguments because they're so entertaining. It got personal. It even got to a point where his roommate challenged him on how much he weighs. We won't get into what the weight was. We won't get into who won the bet. All I'm saying is Chris had to take out a scale and they were
pulled the
yelling
scale out
at each other about what you weighed. So it got personal.
Yes.
I videoed that as well. But
I was actually surprised by the final results. Let's put it that way.
I didn't think you were 175.
And by the way, I'm not up near Don DJT. I'm not up near the 260.
Let me be clear on that in your defense.
But
Donald Trump's
it was higher than I
Donald
expected.
Trump's left bosom might weigh more than you. So just to be clear on that.
Exactly.
But anyway, it got very personal, but it's always entertaining when I go to Seawin's household. All right, so I'm watching CNN over the weekend. I watch Fox News. I watched all. I try to get information from both sides. And Vivek Ramaswamy made an appearance with Jim Acosta over the weekend. And the conversation starts with how he wants to pardon, we'll get into this, Donald Trump. We'll talk about this a little bit later. But then there was a part of the conversation that got really weird, and it had something to do with Vladimir Putin and how Vivek, or Vivica, whatever his name is, how he would end the war in the Ukraine. And you're not going to believe what he would offer Vladimir Putin. I mean, this is you-know-what crazy stuff. From a guy that I would consider pretty smart and educated, to me, this should end his candidacy right here. Listen to this exchange with Jim Acosta, and I'm going to play the whole thing. Okay. It's a couple minutes. I want you to hear every word of it because it's really important. Listen to how Vivek would end the war in the Ukraine. Listen, it's unbelievable. Listen to this.
And you've also suggested that Vladimir Putin be allowed to keep parts of Ukraine as part of a way to solve that conflict. What if he wants parts of Poland?
You leave
next?
out the most important part of that deal.
More of Ukraine next.
Aren't
you letting some of these
the most important
authoritarian
part of the
leaders
deal
off
is
the
what
hook?
actually advances? Far from it. I think that the Biden administration is so stubbornly attached to the idea of getting Xi Jinping to drop Vladimir Putin. What I think we need to be doing is get Vladimir Putin to drop Xi Jinping. Just like Nixon went to China in 1972, I think Putin is like the new Mao. I will visit Moscow and I will pull Russia out of its military alliance with China. The Russia-China military alliance is the single greatest military threat that we face today. Hypersonic missile capabilities, nuclear capabilities in Russia, far ahead of us or China. A naval capacity in China ahead of ours, combined with an economy that we depend on for our modern way of life. Those two nations are in a military alliance with one another, and nobody in either political party is talking about it. Worst of all, our engagement in Ukraine is further driving Russia into China's arms. So my foreign policy centers on weakening that alliance. That advances American interests.
But you would let Putin have
that
parts
is how
of
we
Ukraine.
actually secure peace.
But you would let Putin
I
have
would
parts of Ukraine.
freeze the current lines. I would freeze the current lines of control, and that would leave parts of the Donbas region with Russia. I would also further make a commitment that NATO will not admit Ukraine to NATO. But there are even greater wins that I will get for the United States in return. The top of the list. No, our goal should not be for Putin to lose. Our goal should be for America to win. That's what we have forgotten in this country, is that driving Russia into the ground is not a U.S. strategic goal.
All right, so it goes on, but basically, that statement right there alone should disqualify him from running for president. He basically just said, in a roundabout way, and Jim Acosta is trying to, get him to clarify, but he basically just said, we know what happened. Vladimir Putin entered into Ukraine, trying to take over that country. He invaded a country and started a war where thousands and thousands of innocent people have died. And Vivek is basically saying, we'll give you parts of Ukraine if you back out, if you end the war. And Jim Acosta is 100% correct. That is a win for Vladimir Putin. And Vivek is basically saying, well, our goal shouldn't be for Putin to lose. It's for America to win. And he's basically saying, end the war, and we'll just give an evil, murderous dictator parts of another country and reward him for invading another country. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It is part of the far right, radical far right, that I think actually root on Vladimir Putin and want him to win this war while calling those in the Ukraine Nazis like Zelensky. And I feel like Vivek is another extremist that's going for the base of his party that want to hear this sort of stuff. Oh, we don't want Vladimir Putin to lose. We want America to win. Yeah, that's a great slogan. Just like we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. How did that work out? I mean, this guy right there with the statements he just made about how he would end the war in the Ukraine should, in my personal opinion, disqualify him from even running for president. But the Republicans love this stuff.
Well, so many things just from hearing that short clip regarding Vivek Ramaswamy. Look, he has a lot of opinions that are very pie in the sky. I think most people understand what I mean when I say that. First of all, a couple of things. Number one, from Vivek and from some others, by the way, particularly some Republicans, they have a very skewed opinion and view as to how much influence we have with respect to both Ukraine and Russia when it comes to this conflict, all right? The idea, and look, I'm not trying to bag on you, but the idea that the United States could end the war or the conflict between Ukraine and Russia is ludicrous.
Yeah, I didn't
It's just
say
not
that.
a thing.
I don't think that's
so. So first of all, that's number one. Number two, when Vivek was asked about this, right, he tried to go down the road of, well, we need to deal with Russia, and he starts to bring China into the mix here, right? We understand that there is a relationship between Russia and China. But again, he has a fundamental misunderstanding of what the United States of America has as far as ability to affect the relationship between Russia and China. The Biden administration, the Trump administration, the Ramaswamy administration is not going to be able to, have Russia, or Vladimir Putin of all people, by the way. Vladimir Putin is not going to be able to affect the relationship between Xi Jinping, China, and Vladimir Putin. They just aren't, all right? Those are two nations that have their separate relationship. Look, I don't care how smart Vivek thinks he is, and look, he comes off as pompous. He comes off as kind of a know-it-all at times, right? Look, he's very articulate. We get that, and he can make a point, even though I think 90% of what he says is straight garbage. But again, he kind of pivoted away from addressing the conflict directly between Ukraine and Russia. And he didn't want to go down the road that Jim Acosta was kind of leading him to. It was in that the reason this whole thing is even happening, the reason that there's a conflict in the Ukraine, the reason that thousands of people have lost their lives in this conflict is because of Vladimir Putin's actions in Russia. It's not because Vladimir Zelensky asked for this. It wasn't because of what he's done. It's only because of Vladimir Putin. Yep. It really kind of frustrates me, Brian. It really does. When even reporters here in the United States try to ask candidates, oh, what would you do? And they ask in a context of like the United States has some kind of unilateral power in this situation where they can dictate what's going to happen. The only thing we can do here in the United States of America when dealing with this conflict between Ukraine and Russia is support Ukraine. And why is that? What's the reason for that? The reason we're doing it is because we're trying to protect democracy in Europe, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to. It was. I would use the word unlawful for Vladimir Putin to go into Ukraine. You're invading a sovereign state, and so the only way to rectify the situation, I think, is to get him out of there. Is to get him out. So you just talked about it as far, and Vivek was asked the question, and then he unloads that garbage about how, Russia should be able to keep certain parts of Ukraine. And he tried to dress it up. No.
Yeah.
And I'll end with this. There is no Russia losing. I mean, there is no Russia gets some type of concessions and that they get parts of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And the United States winning. First of all, it's not about the United States winning in this situation. It's about Ukraine essentially being liberated. That's what it's about. So I think there's a viewpoint that's being taken here by certain individuals, mainly Republicans, to be quite honest with you, that they want to sugarcoat it and they want to have revisionist history when it comes to how this whole conflict started. And they want to have a viewpoint that Vladimir Putin is not some, evil, murderous dictator leader, essentially, which is what he is. And they want to want to whitewash that. And that's the thing that a lot of us have a problem with here in the United States. And it raises its head with candidates when they speak this way, like Vivek Ramaswamy did to Jim Acosta.
And before we take calls, and again, the number 702-221-7283, and if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283, I want to remind all of you that this is the same guy, Vivek Ramaswamy, who recently said that if he is the next president of the United States, which he will not be, but if he is.
What is he polling at right now? Like under 5%?
Yep. So if Vivek Ramaswamy is elected president of the United States, he would pardon Donald Trump. Now, let me be very clear on how dangerous that is, Chris. If, in fact, Donald Trump is convicted on 91 felonies, Vivek has
Wait, time out. He can't pardon him on state charges. What do you mean? He could pardon him on federal charges, but he's not going to be pardoned on state charges.
I understand that.
So
we're talking about the federal charges. if he's elected president of the United States. And it doesn't matter what he's convicted of. It doesn't matter where the evidence leads. It doesn't matter if a jury of his peers convicts him. Vivek is saying that you are above the law if you're a Republican, in this case, Donald Trump. What I would ask Vivek Ramaswamy is this. What if Joe Biden hypothetically is convicted of a crime? Now, listen, I'm just putting out a hypothetical. There's no evidence that Joe Biden committed a crime. He hasn't been charged with anything. I'm not insinuating that. I'm just giving a hypothetical. I would ask him, what if Joe Biden is convicted of a crime? Could be involved in Hunter Biden's business dealings, could be accepting money, whatever, just a hypothetical. I would ask him, would you pardon Joe Biden? I guarantee you his answer would be no, because he is a partisan hack.
Right.
And the only reason why he's answering the question that way, and this is what makes this really sad. Vivek's a smart guy. He's an educated guy. It's so sad to see people with intelligence go down this road of just saying the things to get Trump's base to like you. That's exactly what Vivek is doing. He knows what he's doing. He's saying he would pardon Donald Trump so the Republican base will like him. And maybe one day he can get a higher office, not the presidency, but maybe a vice president, you name it. That's why he's doing that. And it's so disingenuous, the fact that he would make these statements, Chris, and it's horrible. 702-221 7283 is the number to call. Let's take a few phone calls. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Cyrus. Hi, Cyrus. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Thank you for calling me. I wanted you to, in the future, I hope you're doing well, by the way.
I am. Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted you to interview some people who are not supporting Biden or Trump. And a lot of these are comedians, or whatever the Democrat nominee is going to be, who, if Biden can't run.
Yeah.
And I went to the comedy show Saturday, and his name is Jimmy Dore. He was formerly in the Young Turks, and he made a lot of jokes against both sides.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And I think you should interview him. He was a former Bernie Sanders supporter. And he's also a lot like Bill Maher. Bill Maher has been pretty critic of both sides.
Yeah, so let me interject real quick, Cyrus, and let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you this. There are a lot of people out there that don't want to see Joe Biden or Donald Trump run. I'm one of them, but here's the problem. There's nobody else that's going to win. It's going to be between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Unless something catastrophic happens, a health issue, it's going to be either Joe Biden or Donald Trump, and it's going to be between those two. I get what you're saying. There's plenty of other candidates I'd rather see run on both sides. I think most of the country agrees with us on that. But the inevitable is that it's going to be between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. You do agree with that, right?
But maybe Bill Maher can show you what results we'll get next year, because he's speaking against the woke culture.
I got to tell you, I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed in Bill Maher. I've interviewed him multiple times.
Why?
I'm going to tell you why. I've always been a fan of his. The stupidity that he shows when it comes to COVID is nonsense. Giving Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a platform and calling him some sort of hero for spreading these right-wing idiotic conspiracy theories is disgusting. I was so disappointed in Bill Maher in that interview, and I'm disgusted with his thoughts on COVID and vaccines in general. If he doesn't want to take the vaccine and he's not a vaccine person, that's totally okay. But he has spread medical misinformation on his show, and the coddling to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was an embarrassment. I don't mind him going after the left. In fact, I applaud him for going after both sides. I don't like what he's done lately with the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. interview in particular. I thought it was embarrassing.
He's had legal issues and battles with Trump and even Bush and so forth, and called out Obama and many times. I mean, essentially, these will be the ones that will have the middle of the road factor in next year. But I also have another suggestion. Have you thought about interviewing people in the local and state level?
Yeah, I have.
County commissioners.
I have.
In the future. I haven't seen any.
Sure.
What about?
Cyrus, let me respond to what you said, because you guys are talking about Bill Maher. So let me challenge you a little bit here, because you brought up Jimmy Dore, right? Are you aware why he is no longer a part of the Young? You're aware that why Cenk and those guys pretty much bounced him out? You know why, right? You know why he's no longer on the Young Turks? Because he's not.
The Young Turks sold out the Democrat establishment. I mean, for years they kept saying, okay, Obama sold you out, but our side is the better, non-corporate side. You got to support Bernie Sanders. And then, Bernie Sanders, you saw what happened to him in 2016.
Okay, yeah, there's no question those guys are progressives, right? Those guys are on the left progressives. But Jimmy Dore, the reason why, a big reason why, and part of this is my opinion, obviously. Okay, I don't know exactly what the reason, but Jimmy Dore is, by the way, you pointed out, interviewing people that are in the middle, right? That are not on one side or the other. With respect to Jimmy Dore, he's not on just in the middle. Jimmy Dore has now gone to the right. He's on, or at least he if you listen to him, he proposes a lot of things that are right wingish is the way I'll describe it. So that's a reason why he's no longer part of the Young Turks, is because because the perception is that he's kind of flipped and he doesn't have conviction. So that's one of the reasons. Why
he argues the opposite happened. The side of the Democrats have changed, and that's what he argues. But I just want to go back to the state legislature, because 2 Saturdays ago I had a good talk with Assemblywoman Venetia Considine.
Okay.
And she introduced a bill to cap prescription drugs, and Lombardo vetoed it. And I'm hoping if you can get her on, or somebody like her, because we need to talk about this issue. I don't want to pay these high prices for drugs.
Sure,
So,
and I can tell you that it was the Biden administration that was trying to lower prescription drugs and passing bills to do so, and it seems like it's constantly the Republicans that don't want to do that. Just like the Republicans don't want to put any gun laws on the books, in the back pocket of the NRA, and so on and so forth. I do speak to local politicians on a regular basis.
Brian, Cyrus is doing a little. He wants to be your show booker over here. He's giving you ideas of who you should have on your show. Well,
I know that there are some shows.
You've had people on that are independents that are not Republicans or Democrats.
I've had plenty of independents.
You yourself, I would say, is an independent.
I've had plenty of independents on this show, as far as local assembly people and people that have. Alan Bigelow came on the show. He's running there. Victoria Seaman's been on the show. I can name you a bunch of different people that have been on. Mostly I get people on the right that come on this show. Once in a while I get somebody on the left that comes on. But I like talking with both sides. In fact, I prefer interviewing people that I disagree with to get into a good debate. I've always been that person that feels that way. Number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the show, 702-221-7283. Vivek, to me, is not a serious candidate. He's not a serious candidate to me. There are people that are running for office on the right that I maybe could see myself voting for. I could look at Chris Christie as one of them, perhaps. He's on the right side of history now, at least. And then I think of people that I would never vote for. And I don't understand these people that still stand behind Trump. I mean, I guess it's too late now for many of these Republicans to turn back. Some of them have.
There's millions, Brian Shapiro. Yeah. There's millions out there that still absolutely do. I went on this rant last week. I don't know how much you want to beat this dead horse. He's the guy right now. He's still the guy. Right now, he's still the guy. It's Monday, the 21st of August, 2023. The election is a little over a year away. Donald Trump, 4-time indicted individual, and former president of the United States, is still the guy for the Republican Party right now.
Let me be very clear.
That's not my opinion.
Let me be very
That's not Brian Shapiro's opinion.
Let me be very
That's the way it is.
Clear on this. Yeah.
Still the guy, Brian.
You Republicans out there that have brown-nosed him for years, that defended him for years, don't cry wolf now. It's your fault. You are the ones that decided to support him. You are the ones that pushed everything aside, whether he's bragging about sexual assault, whether he's attacking John McCain for being a POW, whether he was attacking a Gold Star family, which he did, or saying Mexicans are bad people and rapists, and he supposed some of them are good people. You are the types of people that supported him then, and now you're stuck with him now. You have ruined the Republican Party. You have turned the Republican Party into the base of the party, which are the Jim Jordans, the Matt Gaetz, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Lauren Boeberts, who look for their Twitter moments or TikTok moments instead of doing the good of the country. You've literally made your own grave. And now you're going to have to live with it, because I guarantee you Donald Trump will not be the next president of the United States. But yes, I do believe he will be the nominee in the Republican Party running for president of the United States. And it's your fault. It's your fault, because you're the one who supported him. You're the one who continually defended him. You're the one when he said, I can shoot. You're the one when he said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and you would still support me. You're that person. Look in the mirror. It's your fault. And it's going to be an interesting year. As one of our callers once said, get out the popcorn, get ready. It's going to be a fun ride the next year. Probably not for Republicans. And I do believe, even if it is Joe Biden, and I don't want Joe Biden to run again, but he is, that he will be reelected. And it is scary to think that our president could be 85 years old. And speaking of age, thoughts and prayers for Jimmy Carter. It does appear as though his family has made some statements that it is the kind of the final road for him. The guy's almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's not doing too well. But he's up there in age. It's incredible. All right, Chris, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and we're sort of going to switch topics. Sort of. The Las Vegas Aces are going to be visiting the White House later this week. We're going to talk a little bit about that and history of teams that have decided not to go to the White House. We'll talk a little bit about that. And Aces' disastrous loss over the weekend. I mean, you want to talk about a really embarrassing loss. The Aces losing to the Sparks. We'll get into that a little bit. We'll talk a little Raiders. That and much, much more. Maybe we could get some C-win picks, too, for NFL Week 1. I don't know. Maybe we can get into that. We'll talk.
It's coming faster than being far. I'm telling you, it's right around the corner, folks.
It is.
The NFL season and the college football season.
You are right.
Is just on the horizon.
I know, it's incredible.
I'm pumped up.
I'm actually more excited for UNLV football than I have been in quite some time. We'll get into that as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. He's Chris Wynn. I'm Brian Shapiro. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
The Thread Podcast with Thomas Moscow. Sundays at noon on KSHP, North Las Vegas, AM and FM, 829-6HP, North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Sapphire Pool and Day Club, the world's only topless gentlemen's day club, introduces its 2023 pool season lineup with a bevy of beauties and social media celebrities throughout the summer who will all host alongside hundreds of Sapphire's topless poolside entertainers. Enjoy brunch in the sun with items like frittata-style omelets, stripping chicken, and French kiss toast before washing it down with signature summertime cocktails. 10 lines, beware. Go Bear! Ladies are welcome to go topless within the day club for the ultimate party. Guests can purchase affordable day bed packages, cabana packages, lounge chairs, and more. The best part though? Pushing the Limits will be broadcasting shows every other Friday throughout the pool season with a ton of surprise celebrity guests. Wow! Reserve your spot now. For more info, visit sapphirepoolLV.com or call 702-869-0003. That's 702-869-0003. See you at Sapphire.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on-site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. From Silver and Black Today podcast, going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. What's going on, man? Is our running back going to re-sign? What the hell's going on? So we'll find out. We'll ask Gully that question coming up here at the bottom of the hour. So the Las Vegas Aces will be visiting the White House. We'll get to that in a moment. But before we get to the political side of it, they were favored by 17 points. 17 points, by the way. 17 points against a very bad Los Angeles Sparks team, one of the worst teams in the league. And the Aces lost on their home floor. It actually was one of the Sports Center leads. I was a little surprised, but it's one of the biggest upsets in the history of the WNBA. And I was at the game, and I got to tell you, they look terrible. Asia Wilson was the only one that showed up to play. Kelsey Plum was absolutely atrocious, and it wasn't just her fault. I mean, the entire team couldn't get stops. They were, again, the physicality of the game is getting to the Aces. And if you're a team that's, and some people are going to say, well, Brian, it's got to be a throwaway game. No, we've had enough of that already with the Liberty games. No more throwaway games. You can't lose on your home floor to one of the worst teams in the league if you're vying to try to win a championship and repeat. This team has issues. They've got problems. They really struggle underneath the basket and rebounding the ball. They're a terrible rebounding team. Terrible. They got out-rebounded by a really bad Sparks team. And like I said, Asia Wilson was the only one that really kept them in the game. Really poor defensive effort. They're struggling to score. It seems like when they take the ball to the hoop, they're out of control. I don't know what's going on with Kelsey Plum, but she doesn't even look like a starter anymore. I don't know what happened to her game. She has no confidence shooting the basketball. She's out of control. And it's not just her fault. But really embarrassing loss, Chris. I don't know what you make of this loss, but as I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and by the way, I'm not biased. Do I want the Aces to succeed? Yes, but I can go on the air and I could actually criticize when necessary.
Yeah, you do go on the air. And you do criticize.
Yeah, and I do that.
Times.
And there are people on the air.
And you praise at times.
Yeah, of course, when it's deserved. But and I'm talking about anybody. It could be the Vegas Golden Knights. Could be UNLV basketball or football. I'm always honest. Do I want these teams to win and succeed? Yes, but I'm not biased. I criticize when necessary. And there are some people that are not willing to do that when it goes to any team, right? The Aces have been really bad the last couple weeks. Really bad, okay?
Well,
really
a couple
awful.
of things, though, right, Brian? First of all, they are able to I'll call it a rebound, right? They rebounded on Thursday and get that victory over one of the best teams in the WNBA, and the New York Liberty. You get that win on Thursday, so everyone's kind of riding high, right, feeling good. And then you got this afternoon tilt against one of the worst teams in the WNBA that's, solidly under 500.
Right.
And they end up breaking a 13-game losing streak against the Aces, getting that win where you got Clarendon going for 20+. You've got Jordan Canada scoring up a storm. You've got, Oamike with the double-double. And this is a team that's struggled all year long. You talked about the Aces struggling offensively, no doubt, right? I mean, the first quarter, they end up with 15. They scored 15 in that first quarter. This is a team that is expected to win the WNBA championship. At this point, that's what we're saying, right? They're expected to win, or at least they're one of the top two teams expected to win. You said last week,
Sure.
After New York won, that you think that New York should be the favorite.
100%.
Okay, so there's two teams. But you cannot lay an egg like that and lose a game to essentially one of your West Coast rivals in a situation like that. I mean, I was, as you talked about Kelsey Plum, right? It was
terrible.
It was very difficult to see both, Chelsea Gray and Kelsey go a combined 8 for 25 from the field, basically. And, Chelsea Gray was somebody that they relied on big time to score. It was like 1 of 5 from 3.
Right.
So, I mean, it's, and Kelsey was 2 of 7. Jackie Young didn't have an electrifying game by any stretch. She barely got to double digits in this game. But their lack of depth on the bench is an issue. Okay, you talked about it last week. I'll elaborate a little bit. Look, they're one of the best teams in the WNBA. So anybody making a statement like that player made back during the All-Star game, saying that they have no bench, is inaccurate. All right, is the bench an issue? Absolutely. But I still think when you have AC Clark, when you have Clark on the bench, when you have Kayla George on the bench. When you have, Kirsten Bell, who, at times can make some baskets.
She was terrible, too.
Yeah. Well, she played 15 minutes.
Turns the ball over, can't make a shot.
I mean, she shot 1 of 6 from the field.
Terrible.
She played 15 minutes. She's a bench player. But the point, they don't have, when you're talking about the scope of the entire WNBA, they have one of the top 5 benches in the WNBA. Look, I get it. There's not a ton of teams in the WNBA. But to say they have no bench is inaccurate. That being said, I mean, the bench didn't show up either in this game. And when you've got injuries to the likes of, an all-time great in Candace Parker, right? The bench it's going to be magnified what the bench can't do. And so I get it. I understand it. But circling back, I mean, you can't lose that game. I mean, it kind of destroys all the mojo you got going after getting that win on Thursday. Everybody's feeling good. I was at the post-game press conference on Thursday. It was kind of like it felt like a get-right game, right? Especially with Asia Wilson, because Asia was struggling against New York from an offensive standpoint, especially. And so there was a feel, Brian Shapiro, that it was turning back in the right direction, that they were going to get back on the horse, and they're going to start being that team that was 28 and 3.
Can I just interject real quick and can I say something to that?
Then you run into that roadblock on
Saturday. Let me just say something to what you just said. Okay. I wasn't one of those people that felt that way. It's almost impossible to beat a really good team 3 games in a row. It's very difficult. I don't take anything away from the New York Liberty losing that game, and I'm not surprised the Aces won. That doesn't mean everything was all well and be well. And for the people, again, that are biased, that cover the team, that'll say, oh, everything's back to normal, everything's great. I was clear on social media, and I said, everything's not great. They got blown out twice. They beat them on their home floor once. Congratulations. And I didn't say everything was all well. I said the Liberty are still the best team in the league. And then they lose a game like this. It's one thing if you struggle and you win by single digits. That would be enough, right? They lost the game to one of the worst teams in the league. And by the way, the Aces were healthy. I know they don't have Candace Parker. The team was healthy. They look terrible. There's something wrong with this team. I don't know. It seems to me that they're struggling with the physicality of the WNBA, and teams are scouting them. And I give the Sparks credit. They scouted them well. They double-teamed underneath the basket. They pushed them around. And I'm just going to say this right now. The Aces are a soft basketball team. They are soft. And you say, Brian, what are you talking about? They've only lost 5 games all year. How could you make a statement like that? Watch the way they lost to the Sparks. Watch the way they lost 2 games to the Liberty. They are soft. They're not physical underneath the basket. They're not a good rebounding team. And I'm sorry, they're just not very physical. They're not winning the physical battles. And teams are starting to scout them. I do not believe they are going to win the championship this year. I don't care whether it's the Liberty or any. I think it'll be the Liberty. I think they're the best team in the league. I don't think they're winning a championship this year. If Candace Parker even does come back, she's not going to be 100%. She's not going to be in the game shape she needs to be in, certainly in the playoffs. I don't think this team's going to win the championship. I don't think they're good enough. I really don't. I don't think they're physical enough. I think they're soft. It has nothing to do with coaching. There's only so much Becky Hammond can do with this team. They're just not good underneath the basket. And I'm trying to think of their other starter who's a liability.
You're talking about Kia Stokes?
Stokes is a basketball liability. She can't score. She's got no hands. They're double teaming.
Well, she's in the lineup because Candace is hurt.
I understand that, but she's a liability. She can't score. She can't even make a layup.
Well, here's the thing, Shap, though. When she's at her best, she's supposed to be a defense-first player. That's supposed to be her mojo, right?
And she's not doing that.
Yeah, but she's not supposed to be out there, scoring double digits.
But you can't be a liability.
Yeah,
if a player comes off of you and doesn't guard you to guard somebody else, and you can't make a 5-footer, you're a liability. I know she's not an offensive player. She's not rebounding. Right. She's not playing the defense, or at least at the level where Becky Hammond wants her to play. And Becky Hammond basically said that. She said in a press conference when they lost to Liberty, well, they're basically they're only guarding 4 of us. That's basically a call out there saying you got to step up.
That's a call out. That is a call out in a press conference by the head coach.
You heard her say that.
Absolutely. I heard her. I was right there with you. I heard her say that.
Guess what? Becky Hammond is right.
Yeah.
She's a liability.
Yeah, and I know we don't want to get too deep in the X's and O's on the Aces, right? On the Aces game here.
Why not?
We have
Let's
other
do
topics.
5 hours.
No, we have other topics. You know what I'm saying, though. We have other topics we're going to get to as far as heading to D.C., but I'll elaborate a little bit. You can draw a direct line into what's perplexing to those of us in the media, Brian, right? And the fans out there as to what happened on Thursday and what happened on Saturday. We don't understand it. Right? I don't understand how on Thursday they can go out there and beat the best team in the league, one of the best teams in the league, one of the 2 top best teams in the league by 13 and get, a triple-double from Chelsea Gray and get 4 starters in double figures, get some solid bench minutes from Alicia Clark and George and others on the bench, and Colson as well, too, and then go out there and lay an egg on Saturday. It is something that stuns us. And, not to get make it over dramatic or whatever, but a team that's 28-3, it was 28-3 before that game on Thursday, or excuse me, the game on Saturday against LA, and now it's 28-4. You don't expect this kind of fluctuation, right, in a team. You expect some type of consistency in which they can kind of build on what has transpired over the schedule, and that doesn't seem to be the situation here. And look, they say they're a team that's sometimes they're Jekyll and Hyde. It's a team that is Jekyll and Hyde sometimes.
I'm going to tell you why.
They lose the teams they're supposed to beat, and they beat teams they're supposed to lose.
I'll tell you why. I believe that there are players on this team that think their you-know-what doesn't stink. I believe there are players on this team that believe they can walk on water now after they won the championship last year, and they're taking it for granted. And I believe
they're believing their headlines, right?
Yes,
You believe they're believing their headlines.
Correct. I believe there are players on this team, and by the way, I don't think Asia Wilson is one of those players, but I do think there are players in the starting lineup that do feel that way now. They have got a dose now of reality. They should have gotten a dose of reality when they lost by 38 in New York, and they didn't. And then they got embarrassed at home. Big deal. So they beat them to a 1 game out of 3. Big deal. You come back a couple days later, and that win means nothing because you lose to one of the worst teams in the league. It's really bad. This is why Becky Hammond gets paid the big bucks. She's got to figure some things out with this team. I don't know what she can do. Physically, they are very soft. This is a soft basketball team. I'm sorry they are. I love Asia Wilson. She is a warrior. The Aces are very lucky to have her. Love her consistency. She was not good some games in New York. She did everything she could the other day. It wasn't enough. And Kelsey Plum is a turnover machine. She turned the ball over God knows how many times against the Sparks. She's not been very good with the ball. Her shot looks terrible. It seems like with these players, they're sort of, I don't know, when you have confidence, you just shoot the ball. And it seems like they're taking that extra moment to try to aim that basketball at the rim and with not a lot of confidence. So anyway, bad loss over the weekend. No, I don't think the Aces are the best team in the WNBA. I think if you think that they're better than the Liberty right now on paper, then you don't know anything about basketball or you're extremely biased.
Well, look, calm down a little bit. I don't think it's that crazy. I mean, I think they're absolutely right there with the New York Liberty. Look, we're going to find out a lot about this team as they embark on this road trip, Brian. Use all the descriptions you want to use. Rally the troops, circle the wagons. It's an opportunity. You go on the road, right? You're going to be able to gel with your teammates. They're going on. They're going to be in Atlanta on Tuesday. It's basically a 5-game road trip where they're heading to the likes of Chicago and Washington, and then of course to New York, and then they head back here. Their next home game isn't until the 31st of this month. So it's a little road trip here where I think they can kind of gel a little bit.
All right.
And maybe it's a beneficial thing.
I'm saying it right now. I think if you want to get nice plus money, take the New York Liberty to win the WNBA championship because I don't think the Aces are going to.
Well, I know. Look, it's kind of a hot take-ish, though, a hottish take.
Not really.
Not really. I still think the Aces win the
comes
championship.
Down. Okay,
so I disagree. I think the Aces are going to win the championship.
That makes me feel a lot better. What odds will you give me on the Liberty right now? I'll make a bet with you right now.
Well, Brian Shapiro, you're sounding so confident.
Yeah,
so maybe I should be getting plus money here on the Aces. I should get like
absolutely
not. Wait, time out. No, time out. How can I not be getting plus 125, brother? If you're talking about how the New York Liberty are. Wait a minute. It's so clear right now on paper that they're a better team than the Aces.
Here's why. You can walk into any sports book and get plus 150 at a minimum on the Liberty.
So what does that say then? What does that say?
It says that there's a lot of homers here in Las Vegas that don't know anything about basketball.
The sports books don't care about homers. The sports books care about dollar bills.
Yes, they do. It's why the Vegas Golden Knights are inflated every single time they play because they know a lot of the action in Las Vegas in these sports books is going to go on the Vegas Golden Knights, like you.
You tossed it out there saying it was kind of like a wager between you and me, and then you threw out the number.
Okay.
I should be getting
the New York
plus money.
Liberty. Guess what?
That's my story. I'm sticking to it, Shapiro.
The New York Liberty. Yes. 3 weeks ago, were plus 350 to win the WNBA championship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In most books right now, they're plus 150. I bet you in a month, they're even money, and it's going to be a coin flip. I'm telling you right now.
Well, that's a month from now. I'm talking about right now.
I'm telling you. Well, look at the odds continue to plummet. For the Las Vegas Aces were like minus 400 like a month ago. Okay, now I think in some books they're minus 175, minus 200. There's a reason for that.
Let me tell you something. If they knock off, if they blast the Dream on Tuesday, if they smoke the Chicago Sky, which they probably will do, if they knock off the Mystics when they're in D.C. and then they handle the Liberty, okay, or they go 4-1 on this road trip, then let me tell you something. The Aces are going to be more of a negative number to win the championship if they come home from this road trip after being like 4-1. That's all I'm saying.
Here's what I think the Aces should do. I think you deal Kelsey Plum. And you get my friend Miguel Nunez Jr., Juana Man.
There you
go. Sign him to the Las Vegas Aces. He'll give you some toughness that you need, and then maybe the Aces will win the championship. I don't know. Well, listen, we'll wait and see what happens. I'm still think the Aces.
I think you should get T.C. Martin out of the booth. Okay. Yes, he's the voice of the Aces. Get his jump shot on that. Get him 15, 20 minutes a game.
No.
Get that guy out there, and maybe even our buddy Ken Thompson, maybe throw him out there too.
I'll tell you what,
because he can shoot a little bit.
I'll give you 10-1 on the Aces to win the WNBA championship if they sign him. Give you 10-1. Yeah, 10-1. And you, TC, and let's see.
I'm like John Bagley at this point, man. My man. I'm a stocky, short dude that's going to be out there distributing. I'm not going to be
former
scoring.
Boston Celtic John.
Did you say seriously the deal, Kelsey Plum? You weren't being serious, right?
No.
Okay.
Did you think
Kelsey Plum?
they could sign? At what point did you think I might be joking when I said Miguel Nunez? They should sign.
I'm just tongue in cheek.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Let's have some fun here as well. So on a positive note with the Aces, I've been a little negative.
They won the championship, and so guess what they're doing?
Yes.
Right.
On a positive note, they get to go to the White House.
They do.
I believe they're going on Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
And so basically every team that has won a championship under Joe Biden has gone to the White House.
Yeah.
They've agreed.
Yeah.
Just wanted to give you a little stat here, Chris. You might enjoy this.
I like stats.
Yeah, my MAGA supporter friends might not like this, but in the first 2 years of President Donald Trump's administration, 20 major sports teams won championships. How many of them you think went to the White House?
I would go with 1.
No,
and that might be highballing it.
Half of them.
Oh, half of them did go.
Yeah, half of them did go.
Okay.
So some of the teams that won championships, Trump didn't invite, believe it or not. The teams that did go to the White House, many of the ceremonies made headlines for either how the players or Trump handled the trip and giving them fast food and that sort of thing. But there have been plenty of teams like, for example, the Golden State Warriors, like Alabama.
Right.
There have been some teams that have decided not to go to the White House. Here's what I will say to that. You might disagree with me on this. As much as I hate the orange turd, and I'm not sure anybody hates Donald Trump more than I do. I just think he's just such an awful
Probably
person.
not.
Yeah. I would still go to the White House. If I was on a team in college or whatever.
Right.
The reason why I would go is not because I want to meet Donald Trump or shake the idiot's hand, just the experience. You know, it's a historic building, of course. It might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to maybe go in areas of the White House that, as a member of the public, you maybe would never be able to go. So I would go for that. And then if I'm so anti-Trump, if I had the opportunity to say something to him away from the cameras, that would be my opportunity to say it.
Yeah.
So I would actually choose to go. I respect the people that don't want to. I understand, and I respect that. And I'm not saying they're doing like Steve Kerr. Like I totally get it. I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying, me personally, I would probably still go. I don't know how you would handle it.
Well, here's the thing, right? So I'm not breaking any news here. This isn't rocket science. When we're talking about the reasons why a lot of teams did not want to go to see the former president, Donald Trump, at the White House. All right. We understand that in American sports, for the most part, there's a lot of people that are on the left, right? There's a lot of people that are progressives. And there's a lot of people that would concur with your assessment that are not fans of Donald Trump, right? And he's kind of standoffish. That's kind of the approach he took when he was president. And so, therefore, what happened? Well, you had a lot of athletes, prominent athletes. Your girl, by the way, Megan Rapinoe, talking about Donald Trump in very negative fashions, my friend. And
that's one thing
saying that they would never, ever, ever go to the White House.
Right.
So it's not a shock, right? When you have sports leagues that are extremely diverse, right? That you would, I think for the most part, I'm not being outrageous here by saying that most of the people that are in sports tend to be in my neck of the woods, right? On the left, Democrats, right? As opposed to, now, I'm not saying there's not right-wingers that play sports. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the majority, though, are people that would be absolutely on the other side of things when it comes to Donald Trump or any Republican.
Would you go?
But here's the thing. I'll tell you.
Framingham, let me set the scene.
Let me elaborate.
Let me set the scene.
Would I go?
No, hold on.
I'd definitely go, Joe. I'd definitely go to the Biden administration.
Don't answer yet. I got to set the scene. Framingham State
wins the national championship, Division III football national championship in 1991, right?
Let's just say in 91.
And we're not going to say that it's George Bush that was president, right?
What was your position in college?
I was a safety and a wide receiver, by the way.
Let's just say
I was
Framingham
I could run a
State
little bit.
Division 12 football. They win the championship.
Yes.
Let's just hypothetically say back then Donald Trump was president.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you go?
This is how I'd approach it. If the majority of my teammates wanted to go, I would absolutely go. Yes. It would be a team thing for me. I would not be taking a stand and saying, because and by the way, you talk about how you hate Donald Trump. How do you think I feel about him? I can't stand the guy. I think he's a joke and had no business being president, even though he got elected. But the point being is this. If the majority of my teammates, if it was a decision made by the team, as far as a majority vote, essentially, that we wanted to go, I would go. Absolutely, I would go.
So you agree?
I would not necessarily be. I'd be pumped up about it. I would enjoy the bells and whistles of it. Going to the White House, being
fast
there,
food, free fast
that'd
food.
be fine. Oh, you hook me up with some McDonald's,
Shake Bark Meadows, yeah,
and some Church's fried chicken.
Maybe wipe some
I'd be game on.
dripping makeup off of Rudy Giuliani.
But yes, I would. But I would not be, and I would probably be the guy that would probably say something. I'd probably say something derogatory towards DJT.
Some alternative facts.
I would probably try to sneak in some comments to him. I'd be like, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" Or I'd be the smartass. I would be the smartass.
Can you imagine how that conversation would go down? Let's just hold on for a second.
Okay.
Let's just pretend that Chris is Donald Trump and I'm Chris Wynn for a moment,
Right.
and I just won my championship at Framingham State.
Mm-hmm.
This is me, Chris Wynn. Bro, what are you doing, bro? Bro, you're a terrible president.
You're killing us,
bro. You're killing the country, bro. What are you doing?
Why are you getting mad about every little culture war you want to get into, man? Yes. So
Bro, Donnie, bro, what are you doing,
DJT
bro?
would not be happy about me being in the building there. Okay. And by the way, I'm sure that some of those teams, but Chap, I'm sure some of those teams that did go to the White House when Donald Trump was president, he caught an earful from some of those players, right?
Probably.
Some of those players that were outspoken.
I'm just picturing the
they
way
probably
you would
didn't chirp in.
No, I agree with you. I'm just trying to picture the way that a young 20-year-old Chris William Wynn would approach Donald Trump. And you're right. You'd probably be, bro, Donnie, bro, what are you doing, bro? Like,
imagine if somebody, like some of the...
Chuck, how do you think that conversation would go?
Exactly how you're saying it. But would you bring him a Diet Coke?
I thought
I'd bring him a case of Diet Coke. And I'd make sure it was caught on camera. I would, because that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question about it.
Hey, bro, thanks for the McDonald's, bro. Or is it Burger King, bro?
But look, here's the thing, though, right? So, Brian, let's kind of circle around this whole topic, right? Every other president, regardless of being Republican or Democrat, there's something special about Trump, right?
Oh, he's very
Trump
special.
Trump just pissed off so many Democrats because he took this approach of, I'm giving the middle finger to all you people that didn't vote for me. Screw you for 4 years. And by the way, more than 4 years, because after he lost to Biden, he's still been complaining about Democrats. So, like, there was a special venom for a lot of athletes as far as if they had an opportunity to go there. There was a certain special hatred for Trump that you didn't have for George Bush when he was in office, right? Yeah. When George Bush, both his dad and W, when they were in office, I mean, people had disagreements politically, athletes, I'm sure, but they still wanted to go to the White House and enjoy that experience, right? People took more of a stand when it was Donald Trump, because just the way Donald Trump is. I mean, I don't know what else
I want
to
do later today.
I don't know what else to say.
Here's what I want to do later today. Between your roommate, Mark, I want Mark to be Donald Trump, and I want you to have a conversation to him later today, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah. And I want to be there to watch it. But, bro, thanks for the fast food, bro. But, bro, what are you doing? Donnie, bro. Anyway, I think that was a very good C1 impersonation. I think it was spot on, actually, and I'm very proud of myself.
We're getting calls on the text line across the board on social media, though, that obviously everyone enjoys that Stallone spot, right? I don't count off top here, but whatever. There's people that are chiming in waiting for a new spot when it comes to that.
Yeah, well, my boy, Brett Raymer, who we're going to get on the show next week, he's been kind of busy. He just opened up a new restaurant at Santa Fe Station, so I'm going to be heading out there this week to I haven't been able to get out there yet, but I'm going to get out there later this week and check it out. All right, C-Win, here's what we're going to do. We got to take a quick break.
Right.
And when we come back, our good friend Gully, Scott Gobernson, Silver and Black Today podcast, going to be joining us. We have some breaking news to share with all of you, and we're going to let Gully talk about it when it comes to Josh Jacobs. Some breaking news
that even I don't know about.
Yes.
And that you apparently do.
And I'm going to give you a hint. It's very good news if you're a Raiders fan.
Okay.
So Gully's going to be joining us. We'll talk about that when we come back. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. I want to tell you guys before we go about my good friend. Of course, I'm talking about Blake Gwynn at Keller Williams Group. He actually joined us at Sapphire last Friday, and he's got this big charity poker tournament. He's going to be coming in maybe this week to talk a little bit more about it. Chris Wynn, of course, is invited to it. It's going to be at Arizona Charlie's, this charity poker tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun, raising money for charity, and he helped my family out as far as searching for a home and giving them good sound advice. He's been in Vegas his entire life. Of course, his grandfather, the late, great Kenny Gwynn, our governor. Please give my good friend Blake Gwynn a call at Keller Williams if you're thinking of buying or selling a home. 702-540-3311. Again, that number. Give him a call. Tell him I sent you. 702-540-3311. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event. It requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust, someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Sapphire Pool and Day Club, the world's only topless gentlemen's day club, introduces its 2023 pool season lineup with a bevy of beauties and social media celebrities throughout the summer who will all host alongside hundreds of Sapphire's topless poolside entertainers. Enjoy brunch in the sun with items like frittata-style omelets, stripping chicken, and French kiss toast before washing it down with signature summertime cocktails. 10 lines, beware. Go Bear! Ladies are welcome to go topless within the day club for the ultimate party. Guests can purchase affordable day bed packages, cabana packages, lounge chairs, and more. The best part though? Pushing the Limits will be broadcasting shows every other Friday throughout the pool season with a ton of surprise celebrity guests. Wow! Reserve your spot now. For more info, visit sapphirepoolLV.com or call 702-869-0003. That's 702-869-0003. See you at Sapphire.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call. 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey, everybody. It's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you join us at Jackson's Bar and Grill. I'm there pretty much almost on a daily basis, it seems like. And like I said, if you're in uniform, law enforcement, you get a free lunch. And if you're in the service industry, work at a bar, $50 free slot play once you go through 50, which is pretty darn awesome. Please check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. We got Seawin in the house. Raiders winning another preseason game. They've won like 84 preseason games in a row. I heard they might be going to the preseason Super Bowl. Oh, wait, there is no preseason. Oh, that's all right. Joining us right now is Gully, Scott Gulbranson, the creator of Silver and Black Today podcast. Always great having Scott joining us. Good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Good, gentlemen. No white hats this week. And also, Pushing the Limits isn't doing like complete whole show coverage of the hurricane. You guys you're left out. You're left out. What's going on? Again, the weather people, I know they got to keep people safe, but man, it's like it was the end of the world and suddenly it's not the end of the world.
Well, I got bad news for you, Gully. We did do about 20 minutes today on the Hillary Clinton hurricane. We did do about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I love that. I have to say, this is not a political statement, but I love the meme that said, hey, when they report any deaths that come from the hurricane will be ruled a suicide. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, there was make no mistake, right, Gully? There's all kinds of hilarious stuff across social media.
There is.
Oh yeah.
Have to be named after one of the candidates in the 2016 election.
I mean,
that was good stuff.
There was some Monica Lewinsky, Hillary Clinton jokes that I won't say on the air because it might break some FCC violations, but you could imagine
yes,
it's something to do with the wind and some other stuff. And,
because we know in hurricanes, tropical storms, the winds blow and they blow hard. Absolutely.
That's very, very, very true. And we'll have to ask Bill Clinton about that when it comes to Monica Lewinsky. But we'll save that to it for another show. But it is somewhat sunny in Vegas, and people were freaking out here. But everything seems to be okay, and it seems to be going okay in California right now. So hopefully everything will. I'll tell you something else that's pretty going okay. The Raiders preseason schedule.
Segue, Gully. Yeah, segue right there.
Winning some
football. That was a.
Go ahead.
Pro segue.
Yeah,
segue.
I say 20 years in the radio business. This is what I've become. It's incredible.
Transition.
I'm glad some of my colleagues appreciate it. But nice win yesterday. Again, similar to week one. Nice win on the road this time. We talk about O'Connell had another really good performance. Defense looked really good. Special teams looked really good. This kid O'Connell, 26 for 36 so far for 304 yards and 3 touchdowns. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. Obviously, to me, and we said this in our post-game show because we go live right after every game, is he is the story. I mean, listen, it doesn't mean that other parts of the Raiders' offense, defense shouldn't be evaluated and talked about because there are other great performances as well. But when you have a 4th-round rookie quarterback come in and look as he gets, I don't care if he's quote-unquote going against vanilla defenses or not, because guess what? Brian Hoyer, who's 37 years old, 15 years in the NFL, he went against the same vanilla defense, and what did he do? Nothing. So I think you can't underscore how impressive Aiden O'Connell has been. But I think some people are getting ahead of their skis a little bit because the deal is, in my book, Aiden O'Connell's clearly won the number 2 job. But Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback. That's the best chance they have to win football games for the Raiders this year. But it's a great story, and it continues to be a great story. You're going to see a lot of national love this week for Aiden O'Connell. The guys up on QB School, great YouTube channel, if you haven't watched it, who break down QB performance. They are just in love with this kid, and they're looking at the technical side. It doesn't matter who you go against. It goes based on your decision-making process. And when he makes decisions on the field, they're very good ones. So just maybe after all these years of all those terrible quarterbacks and draft picks, maybe the Raiders got a kid they could develop over the next couple of years into an eventual starter.
I actually tend to agree with you, and I think this. I know this is only a few preseason games, but I got to tell you, it looks to me that you might be right. This kid's got a lot of promise. I'm not saying he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL anytime soon, but I think they got a keeper, and I think they could develop him into that one day. Before we get back to the preseason game, let me just talk about the pink elephant in the room right now, and that is Josh Jacobs. There are reports that are circulating on social media and some people that actually cover the team regularly. Right. And even though it's not confirmed, there are reports coming out earlier today that Josh Jacobs apparently will be ending his holdout and report to the team before week 1. What have you heard, Gully?
Well, that's no surprise. I mean, that's the way I think most of us who cover the team have been calling it because, listen, you understand why he did what he did, and I don't blame him. I've said on this show before, if I was in his position, why would I go to training camp, right? So they couldn't come to a deal. You get that. But at the end of the day, it's $10.1 million. You're not going to get more anywhere else right now. You look at what happened in New York with the Dalvin Cook signing. So you look at that situation and you say, well, yeah, Josh Jacobs is a smart kid. He's going to go get his $10 million and see what happens after this year. He can go out and prove it again. But clearly, I think all of us had the sense that, look, yeah, he's not going to come back. He'll come back the weekend before the first game, get in for a week. He's in impeccable shape. He's keeping care of himself. Every report that we've seen is that Josh Jacobs is working out like an animal. Yes, it's not contact sport, but that's okay. And I think, yes, he will be there. And this team needs him because we saw Zamir White, who's a nice RB2, but he's no replacement for Josh Jacobs, not even close. So getting him back into camp that first week before week 1 is going to be big for this team.
Scott, speaking of weapons for the Silver and Black, obviously preseason is not necessarily about the starters, right? The established guys. It's about seeing the young players come in. And one of those players on the offensive side of the ball is Trey Tucker. Your thoughts and impressions on him as there's been some glowing optimism is the way I'll describe it when it comes to this kid on the offensive side of the football.
Yes, and I got to see him in Cincinnati last year play his entire home schedule, okay? And he's got issues with dropping the ball. I don't care what anybody says. And we've seen that so far in the preseason. That said, that electric speed that he has, and coming out of college in the draft, a lot of Raider fans got ahead of themselves a little bit saying, this is our Tyreek Hill. No, not there yet. But I will say he had a very, very bad first half. He dropped again. We had some issues there. Second half, completely different story. Came out, was focused, made some nice catches, and he's developed. This is another key. He's developed a nice rapport with Aiden O'Connell. Those two guys, for whatever reason, just like you guys on this show, you just click, right? You just click. And so I think that's very optimistic, but I think you have to look at him under this premise, Chris, and that is he is a developmental player. He's not going to be a starting wide receiver in this league this season. He might run back some kicks. He might see some time depending on how he develops over the next several weeks. But I think from a developmental standpoint, the Raiders like what they see, and they're going to be patient with him. And if they're patient with him, he can develop into a nice NFL wide receiver with that crazy speed, despite his small frame, and really be somebody that they can be proud of in the future.
Gully slipping in those kind words, Shapiro. Hey, I love it right there, brother. Okay, so flipping over quickly to the other side of the football. Look, when it comes to defensive tackle, this team, all of a sudden, Scott Gulberson, it's become a very crowded room, right? You love what you see from the likes of Rochelle and Willis and even Kuntz too as well. But hey, when you got Max, when you got Tyree, when you got Jones there, it makes things very difficult for the brass there with the Silver and Black having to make decisions as we roll towards cut day here as the preseason winds down to an end.
It's a good problem to have, especially when you have a team over the last 9 years that had no internal pressure on the quarterback. And in the AFC West, if you can't pressure the quarterback, you are dead. So this is very encouraging to see in this preseason the depth they have there. You talked about Malcolm Kuntz. Here's a guy, a lot of Raider fans love this guy, and everybody was kind of waiting for him to come on. And I think he's turned it on in this preseason and earned that spot. I would bet anything that he will make that roster and he will see playing time. You talked about Tyree Wilson coming from that injury. I don't think he's going to be an impact player until the middle of the season and probably won't see a lot of action until week 3 or 4 as he gets up to speed. Chandler Jones is banged up again. Chandler Jones, you want to hear something crazy? You guys might just shut my camera off now. He's the key to the first – He's the key to the first 3 or 4 weeks because he needs to come out and have a resurgence. He doesn't have to have a full season, really. He just needs to get that early season pressure there for them alongside Max Crosby, who you know is going to be an animal, who you know is going to have a great season again. But Chandler Jones is going to be a key on the end. But yeah, internally, they're going to have to make some tough decisions there. Same thing with that wide receiver room on the other side of the ball we were just talking about because they're loaded in both those areas, and it's great to see finally these young players that they've selected, they've signed, they've brought in. And, oh, yeah, Jerry Tillery, too, who's going to be in the mix.
If you're just joining us, he is Gully, Scott Gulbranson, creator of Silver and Black Today podcast, talking a little Raiders football. Nice win, week 2 of preseason. All right, so I know we're talking a lot of positives, and rightfully so, a lot of nice performances, but have there been any players out there that Gully, you've been a little disappointed with? Anybody that you say, wow, I expected a little bit more out of him in week 1 preseason or week 2? Anybody out there that you've been disappointed with at all?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say disappointed, although I guess you could say disappointed. Brian Hoyer, obviously, look, they counted on him to come in and be the number 2 quarterback. Clearly, Aiden O'Connell has won that job. But I do think I don't think he has as much value on the field as he does off the field. I think being in that room with a young quarterback, Jimmy G doesn't need the tutelage as much, but he does need the system recognition. So Brian Hoyer there, I think he's going to end up getting a lot of credit for helping Aiden O'Connell adjust to the pro game and adjust to that complex Josh McDaniels system. So a little disappointed there. On the defensive side of the ball, one of the guys that I've been a little disappointed in, although I think he could bounce back, but it's a crowded room for cornerbacks too, and that's Amik Robertson, who I thought has been a really good player for this team, developing as a good young cornerback, playing in the slot at times. I think he struggled. He struggled against the Rams, and it's not a good time to struggle because they're going to have way too many chairs filled when that music stops, and you don't want to be one of the guys standing. So those are just two of the guys I think that come top of mind.
I think that's very fair. I don't listen. It's interesting. I'm in radio, but I don't listen to radio very often. But as I'm driving into work today, I was listening to Colin Cowherd because I do enjoy him from time to time. And he was talking Raiders football. He does talk a lot of Raiders football. Of course, he lived here in Las Vegas for a while. And he was talking about, with the Raiders, the top two coaches that he thinks are on the hot seat this year. One of them was Josh McDaniels, and the other one was Bill Belichick. I kind of enjoyed listening because I'm not a Bill Belichick. I mean, obviously, the guy's an incredible coach, and he's probably good as the best coach of all time. But it is funny and weird to hear a national radio host say that Bill Belichick is on the hot seat this year. Who do you think is more on the hot seat, Bill Belichick or Josh McDaniels?
So and when I was in school at UNLV and interning at Channel 8, Colin was a sports anchor at Channel 3, so I ran around with Colin quite a bit. He's a good guy. I have the utmost respect for him, but I think those are both hot takes. I don't think either one of them is true. I don't think Josh McDaniels is on the hot seat this year yet. Now, again, I think I told you guys a couple weeks ago, if they go through this season and it's a disaster, if they lose 13-point leads again, and it gets to be to the point where there's no improvement there, then I think the seat gets hot. But I don't think he has a hot seat there right now, no matter how much people say it because of what happened last year. And with Bill Belichick, listen, I think he writes his own ticket in New England unless something disastrous happened, which we've never seen happen with him. Yes, they've had down years, but I just don't see that happening with him there. I think Brandon Staley in Los Angeles with the Chargers is the biggest hot seat in the world because they, again, improve their roster, and he makes some incredibly just crazy decisions. And so I think he's more on the hot seat. So I don't think either one of those guys, to be frank, with all due respect to Colin.
A quick overall question, Gully. When we talk about preseason, obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to make his preseason debut coming up on Saturday. Matthew Stafford with the Rams hasn't played all preseason long. I just want to get your perspective on just how important you think preseason games are, as opposed to what transpires now, where you have teams basically having dual practices essentially, and how you think the small change in that now you have 3 preseason games pretty much for every team as opposed to 4, and what you think that has done as far as an impact as far as the NFL getting the teams ready for the regular season.
It's a great question, Win. And I tell you what, we're talking about it on our show tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So you kind of stole my thunder there, but that's okay. But no, I think, listen, 2 things. One, I'm the oldest guy on the air with you right now. And when I was a kid, I remember the 4 games in the preseason. And by the 3rd game, you had the starters play maybe a couple series, maybe even a full quarter. And then by the 4th game, they're playing a full half, right? So it shows you how reverse it's gotten. Now you cut it down to 3 games. There's less time. You notice the last couple years, we've seen a lot of teams with good veteran quarterbacks and players come out slow in the beginning of the season. So I think you're starting to see that pendulum swing go the other way. I don't think it'll ever go back to where it was, but I do think teams are now seeing the value and recognize that the risk of injury is there, yes, but it's worth it because now in the NFL, depending especially which division you're in, and for the Raiders in the AFC West and some of the other AFC divisions especially, you got to get off to a quick start. You can't get off to a 1-3 start somewhere, right? Because that's disastrous for you the rest of the season. So I think you're going to see more of it. I think you're going to see more starters get in there, at least for some action, get that live game action so that they're ready to go week 1.
Brian, Gully just said that he thinks he's the oldest person on the air. No, Gully, look, I do have a baby face.
I'm older than you.
I might have you, bro.
Well,
I'm
I don't think so.
1970.
It's interesting,
maybe
because my parents just moved into a 55 and over community, and C-Win says to me the other day, "Hey, bro, I can be there in like 3 years, bro."
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, wow.
Gully's got you. You got a year on me? A couple years, maybe?
I got a year on you. I think I remember that though. Like something about I think you were out celebrating your birthday at AVN or something like that because the picture was crazy, and or something like that, wasn't it? I can't remember. But anyway, I remember I think seeing 52. But anyway, but yeah, no, I'm a year older. So, but in my head, like, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you this. I don't know if there's anything such as a backup quarterback controversy, but I will ask it to you this way. There are people on social media, even The Athletic, writing articles saying that O'Connell has proven himself that he should be the official backup quarterback for the Raiders. What do you say?
Absolutely, 100%. I think he's won that job. He deserves the job. Look, we saw Brian Hoyer play for an entire half, and it was for a 15-year veteran, it was brutal. And I think that's the key, because I've had a lot of people come at me from the show saying, well, he's playing against these nobodies or second, third stringers. And again, Brian Hoyer is playing against the same guys.
Right.
And look what happened. Not only that, but you watch the film, guys, and you watch the decision-making of this young quarterback. Yep. He has not thrown a ball that's even close to a turnover. Now, has he thrown every ball perfect? No. But even when I use an example early in the game against the Rams, when he got in there in the third quarter, he went and he threw a ball. It was an out pattern to a receiver who was clearly covered. It wasn't going to be a complete pass. He was under pressure in the pocket. He flushed way out of the pocket, but he threw the ball on the back shoulder, out of bounds basically, but within reach the receiver, which tells you that, hey, if the receiver makes an incredible grab, he might even get a gain out of it. But if he doesn't, no one else is going to get it. That's huge.
I agree with you. The three words that I think of that I use in talking about O'Connell, what we've seen from him so far, is poise, patience, and intelligence. And when you're talking about a rookie quarterback, that's what we're talking about here. That's extremely impressive. So I agree with you 100%. I think he should be the backup. And chances are, with Garoppolo, knowing him, to no fault of his own, he's going to get hurt. He's not going to play every game. And it'll be fun if that does happen to see O'Connell play in a regular season NFL game and see what he can do. But
it won't be fun for silver and black fans out there, my friend.
Well,
he said Shapiro Gully just dropped the it'll be fun.
Well,
that's not how they look at it.
You know what? We'll have to wait and see. You never know. I'm just saying you never know. It might be fun. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying O'Connell's the next Tom Brady. I'm just saying that from what I've seen so far, we all agree he deserves to be the backup. And when and if he does get the call, if there's an injury with Garoppolo, we all know Garoppolo's the starting. We all know that. That's not even a discussion. But Garoppolo eventually will get hurt. I hope he doesn't, but he'll miss a few games, maybe here and there. I will be excited to see what this kid can do in a regular season game. Gully, it is always fun having you on. Enjoy the rest of that cigar. I'm jealous, and I look forward to catching up with you next week, my friend, and hopefully we can talk about another Raiders victory, huh?
As always, guys, I appreciate the time. Appreciate you guys having me on, and take care of the city for me and stay dry, would you?
We will try to do that. Scott, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much. Scott Gulbranson, Silver and Black Today podcast. Also a great follow on Twitter, on social media. Just does a great job following the, covering the Raiders. And that's why we always appreciate him coming on and joining us. So there you go. Yeah. I mean, I think this might be evident now. I think O'Connell will probably be the backup quarterback. Hoyer's gone. And again, I agree with that. I don't have a problem with that. It's interesting because the Herd, talking a little bit about Josh McDaniels, the last of their problems, I disagree. I disagree with that take. I think Josh McDaniels and the offensive coordinator and the coaching staff, I think that is their problem. I really do. Real quickly, I have a bone to pick with you. We only have a couple minutes here.
What do you got?
Chris Wynn seems to promote other radio shows, but he doesn't promote my show. Let me give you a quick example here.
Just got home from covering the Las Vegas Aces, getting their 26th win of the season, knocking off the Atlanta Dream in a victory tonight down at Michelob Ultra Arena. Going to jump in with Tim Oglesby at the top of the hour. It's Heatwave Sports coming away live on Fox.
Okay.
So what's hilarious is that I'm not a huge TikTok guy. I like jumping on TikTok because I like
Here's
videos.
my question.
I like videos of
Hold
pets like interacting and stuff that you don't normally see. But that's the one video that I put up on TikTok.
Why is it
it's
that
like the one video.
you promote everybody else?
I can tell you why.
Hold
I'll tell
on.
exactly why.
Tim Oglesby.
Wait a minute, you're asking me the question.
Ryan
You're not gonna answer?
Feldman, Jose Vellante,
You know why?
Martin.
You know why?
Never
I'll tell you
promote
why.
my show.
I'll tell you exactly why.
Why is that?
Because I'm the lead host on those shows. I'm hosting the show. Okay, I come on with you. I'm essentially, I am your co-host, but I'm deferring to you. It is your show,
No,
baby.
Chuck, what do you think?
So
That's an
that's why.
excuse? I think he's full of
That's
crap.
not an excuse. That's a reason. I told
Full
you.
of crap.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm going to be hosting the show next with Marco D'Angelo.
I appreciate that
from
self-promotion.
WagerTalk.com.
No, I
He's
appreciate
outstanding.
I appreciate
Yes.
that.
So I'm
I'm
pumped
just
up.
saying. That's all I'm saying. I've never seen him promote this show, but he promotes every other show in town.
By the way, this is this same guy who's never retweeted Dumpchuck one thing that I've ever put on social media.
It's not interesting.
He's never. Yeah, exactly.
So here's what you need to do.
He's kind of sidetracking here. He's trying to. Yeah.
Make a
He's
video.
going mute a little bit.
Make a video next Monday.
Yeah.
Just prove his ass wrong.
I can do that. I'm not afraid.
We'll see if he. We'll see if he does. By the way, I love Tim Unglesby, and I like the shows
Exactly.
of the people that you do.
Of course you do.
Most of them. I like
Entertaining
them.
is all get out.
I do.
Just like this show.
These are friends. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
He can be in a basement in some podcast that does a show once a month, and he would put out a video promoting that show that he's doing co-hosting, but, whatever. Well, you can't have everything in life.
I'm going to go all B-Shap style. I'm going to do it shirtless next time with,
Please don't
hostage
do-
videos.
Hostage video. I love it. Do it.
That's how we're doing it, baby.
Please don't do
Good
that.
times, Brian. Thanks for having me in on a Monday
That
again.
was fun. Good show. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate you coming on. There's a chance we might have Donald Trump on the show tomorrow. I'll keep you guys updated on social media. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Chris for being here. I owe him a lunch, unfortunately, but I'll take him out, or maybe a dinner tonight. I don't know.
It could be fortunate.
Dinner tonight. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day. Chris Wynn filling in for TC Martin coming up next. You see that promotion? Have a great
And
day,
Marco
everybody.
D'Angelo.